Welcome to your iconic image. If you want to take control of your image and be a power player in your space, then this is the show for you. Here we will arm you with tools and information to help you grow your brand on purpose. I'm your host, Marlana Semenza, photographer and visual strategist. Now let's dive into today's episode. Wes Harper is the owner and president of the IT services company LightWire, Inc., but you may know him from his other gig as recurring cast member on the Discovery Channel show Naked and Afraid. Welcome, Wes. So on the show, you have earned the nickname The Assassin. What I want
Yes, I have.
What I want to do is ask you, how do you make that mind shift? So you're a recurring cast member. So how do you make the mental shift from mild-mannered Wes Harper, which indeed you are, to the assassin? And then also, how do you make it the shift back after the show's over?
It's tough. It's tough. It takes a couple of days to kind of weed the professionalism out of your system when you go on a challenge. It takes a couple of days before you get that wild streak back in you. And then all of a sudden, you just kind of get in with the environment and you're feeling it. And then the whole different persona takes place. But I mean, it's a transition. And then coming back, it's not 2 days. It's 2 weeks, maybe a month before you really get back into, hey, I'm a corporate, business owner working in a professional setting. It's a tough return.
Why do you think it's tougher on the way back?
Because things seem so trivial. When you're out there trying to survive, you concentrate on food every day and you're starving every day, and just staying warm and staying dry. I mean, those are just, core things that you need. And so when you get back and you have to check email, you just really don't care that much. It just doesn't mean the same thing. And even worse, when your kids want to tell you about their day, you have to really take them and listen to them. And, at first it's kind of boring for everything that you went through, just 3 days before, and to listen to somebody talk about their homework. It's hard. It's hard.
Was it more difficult on the longer challenge? Because I know you did an XL. Was it more difficult then, or it doesn't really matter whether it's 21 days or 40 days?
The longer you're there, the harder it is. I mean, you keep getting wilder the longer you're there. I mean, you're really like a wild animal, and you just keep morphing every day for better or worse into the environment. So yeah, the longer you're there, the longer the recovery process is.
And with that, what about the dynamic between you and your partner and and the group perhaps that you're in? Does that dynamic seem to change and become more wild and primal the longer you're there as well?
That part becomes a little bit more of a close-knit family, actually. And that's probably the part that's actually keeping you a little grounded, as opposed to everything else you're going through. You still tell stories about when you're not in a survival mode. You share things about your family. And so it's a nice diversion from just trying to find something to eat. So, yeah.
Each time, does it get a little easier or no?
You know what to expect. You know to expect that you're going to be pretty miserable. And so if that part's easier, it's not such a surprise that you're starving to death. But no, it's very difficult. It's tough. And that part really doesn't get any easier. I've done 3 of them now. And the third one was by far the absolute worst. And so, no, it doesn't get easier. It really depends on where you're located, I think, as well.
So what made the third one the worst?
It rained constantly. I mean, every day it rained almost all day. Every night it rained almost all night. The mosquitoes and bugs were biting me to death. It was depressing. And there really wasn't much to do. So you just were alone with your thoughts. And that's sometimes a tough place to be.
And with that one too, you wound up alone in the end. So did that make it more difficult?
Yeah, I'm not someone who really likes to be alone. I'll do it. And for a weekend, it's fine. But for long term, I'm a people person. I like being around people. And so, yeah, I had a lot of time to think. I was there for, 14 days by myself. And, a lot of introspection during that time, for sure.
What'd you learn about yourself?
Um,
Other than you're not a people person. I mean, that you are a people person.
right. I mean, a lot of things. You start having regrets about how you've lived some parts of your life. You celebrate things that you've done. You get a real perspective on what kind of person you are. You think back to every person you've ever slightly wronged in your life, and you go, dang, I really shouldn't have said that. Maybe when I get home, I'm going to, write them a quick note and apologize. I mean, your mind just has so much time to think and dredge up things from your past. It's a lot of thinking that you do out there.
So those scenarios that for some of us play out in the middle of the night, that was just an ongoing scenario for you for 14 days?
It was constant. It really was. I mean, when you are just sitting still looking out at rain and have absolutely nothing to do because it's too cold to get wet and be outside, you just have to hunker down. For me, it's miserable. It's solitary confinement, and I am not made up for that.
And I know that they pulled you out of that challenge before you were able to complete it only because COVID, and which you had no idea was going on. So when they first came to pull you out, what was your reaction?
I thought they were kidding. I thought it was a joke. I really did. I was like, no, this is ridiculous. Get out of here. I got 3 more days to go, or 2.5. And so I really didn't believe them. And then as they pressed on telling me details of what was happening, it kind of dawned on me that they were really not playing around, and this challenge was over.
Which, it's so interesting to me, that whole concept that you were so isolated that you had no idea what was happening globally.
Yeah, not a thing. You don't know the score of the ball game. You don't know, COVID, coronavirus at the time. You really don't know anything. All you know is that you have to get some food, you have to stay warm, and try to keep the bugs off. I mean, that's all you know while you're out there.
So was there any time in any of these challenges that you actually were afraid?
Oh yeah. There's many times. Mostly the fear came in Africa, though. And that was really in relation to predators, to things that actually wanted to eat you. And it's not passive. It's not like, well, maybe, something might pass by that might think about it. No, there were things that actually, wanted to eat you. And that was their goal, was to get a meal, and you might be it. And so that was pretty frightening, especially at night when you can't see and you hear weird noises. That'll make you sit up and think about it for sure.
How do you sleep? Because I don't think I could.
I have been given the gift of sleep. I can sleep pretty much anywhere. I wake up a lot on the challenges, especially. You'll wake up every 15 minutes or every hour when you hear a noise or get too cold or some random bug, scorpion bites you, something. But I go right back to sleep. I don't have a problem with that. And so I'm very fortunate that my wife says that's my number one survival skill, is being able to sleep. And she probably is right.
So, you hear all these bugs and biting and starving, all these kinds of things. What were some of the best parts of these experiences?
I think your small victories, overcoming a challenge, really, that makes it for you. You can reflect on a small victory for days and just smile about it. And, in Africa, I was able to procure a lot of food. And so even today, I reflect back on that. And those are victories that make me smile. And when you're out there on a challenge, it can be a simple victory. I mean, really, it can be finding fresh water and having a drink. I mean, that can propel you for 2 days. And building a shelter and have it rain and you stay dry. Oh, I mean, the victories that you have out there are huge. And so those are the things that you reflect on, really.
What's been your favorite place?
Oh, Africa really has to be my absolute favorite. As scared as I was of elephants or having a hyena drag me out of the boma. The wildlife there, the scenery there, just living in the moment in the bush was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I would go back tomorrow if they would let me.
Is there any place that you'd say no to?
Yeah, I would never go to Alaska. I'd never go north. I am not a cold loving person. Keep me somewhere hot, desert, dry. I'll take that all day. But to even go 3 hours north and try to stay there during the fall, that's not for me.
Do you have a choice? How long, if you are booked to be on a challenge, let's say, do you have the option to say, yeah, I'm not going there? Or do you even know in advance, far enough in advance?
You know in advance, and really, no, you don't have an option. I mean, you go there or you say, I'm not going to be your guy. So it's really all or nothing. And if they said, hey, Wes, we want you to go to Alaska, well, you know me well enough to know I'm going to Alaska. Am I going to be happy about it? Am I going to enjoy it? The cold? No, I'm not. But yes, I'd go to Alaska enjoyment too. Absolutely not.
So, all right, let's talk for a minute about by doing this, you stepped into a different spotlight. And I think sometimes we forget that when we do things like this, when we step onto a bigger stage or any of those types of things, how it affects also not just us, but the people around us. So what would you say, how has it affected your family? What has been their reaction to it all?
Well, I have 5 kids, and their reaction is really they shrug their shoulders and say, wow, Dad, that's really cool. No big deal. They're a little embarrassed when, they see a picture, their friends see a picture of my naked butt on TV. They're like, oh, Dad, come on. But other than that, they're really cool with it. My wife is generally, super supportive about it, but there are times when it gets to her, like when I talk about it too much, or when I'm doing some shopping at a grocery store and somebody recognizes me and comes over and wants to do a selfie. That doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. And sometimes it'll ruin a moment that is just made for me and my wife, Molly.
The first time somebody did that, recognized you or asked for a photo or an autograph or any of those kinds of things, what was your reaction?
Oh, I couldn't get my pen out quick enough. I was so excited. Oh, yeah. And, I had pictures prepared for it. That's part of the deal with Discovery Channel is you're there to promote the show as well. So I had pictures and they said, aren't you Wes from Naked Afraid? And I said, yeah. They were like, can we get a picture? And I was like, yeah, I got a ton in my truck. Hold on. I'll be right back. I was so excited. It was fantastic. And even today when somebody, recognized me or asked for a picture or an autograph or selfie, yeah, I still get excited about it. It's an adrenaline rush. I enjoy that part of it.
Did it surprise you at all when somebody first came up to you?
Yeah, it really did. In fact, it still does today. I mean, Naked Afraid has kind of a cult following. Not everybody watches the show. And even people who watch the show, they might not know who I am, especially when I'm in a work outfit, when I'm wearing a button-up shirt. I had somebody say, don't you work in South Carolina sometimes? I went on vacation and somebody asked, don't you work for so-and-so in South Carolina? And I said, no, I really don't. But they knew me from Naked and Afraid. They just couldn't place me. And so I said,
you were overdressed and cleaned up.
Yeah. And so they knew me, but they didn't know me. And so, there's a fair amount of that.
So speaking of which, how has this affected your business or has it not?
It has. It really has had an impact. And I'm not shy about promoting the fact that I've been on the show. A lot of people say, oh, well, he's a guy on TV, so let's do business with him. I mean, that's a real thing. And so I don't shy away from that at all. Groups of 50-year-old women, they kind of love that. They're like, hey, this is a guy from, reality TV. We've never met somebody on reality TV. And so, so I get invited into a lot of places and I'm given a lot of credibility because of the show. Even though I'm a guy sitting out there naked, and dirty and messy, I'm also the guy that's on TV. And so that lends credibility in places where maybe it really shouldn't.
So for everybody that doesn't know, tell us what you do as mild-mannered Wes Harper.
My Clark Kent persona. Yeah, I own an IT company, LightWire. I've owned it since 1996 with a name change in the middle. And I run it. I have 12 engineers and a small admin staff. And my job is to make sure the company runs smoothly and correctly and grows. And so it's really a corporate professional setting that I'm in for my real life. My everyday life is that.
Have you ever had a client find out after the fact that you were the naked and afraid guy?
Yeah, and that's the most fun, actually. That is the most fun because they'll say, I've been talking to you for 2 months, and I just found out that you're Wes from Naked and Afraid. And then you can tell they went and they Googled me and checked out stuff, and then they have little questions, But it's fun at that point. It's fun because we already established a relationship, and then then there's sprinkles on top, and that makes it fun for both the client and me.
So how did you get your business to a point where you can go off and do these 3-week or 40-day challenges and it still doesn't miss a beat?
Well, it actually started because of the first time I went away. Knowing that I was going to go, I was clued in about 6 months before I was leaving that I was really going to go. And so I had to start preparing my staff. And so I added responsibilities to people. And I gave them I empowered them. I gave them the power to make decisions. And so by the time I left on the first challenge, my people were ready. They were pretty much running the company day-to-day operations without me. I didn't need to be there for every single decision. And so that was really what made it happen. And then since I've been twice since then, it's only gotten stronger, my ability to take off for a month.
And that's really so important, I think, especially if you do have any kind of a business. If you want to do something bigger or if you want to step into the next level, you've got to be able to let go of things.
You really do. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult starting the business from scratch, being the guy that was up on a ladder. That's really hard to let go of. You always want to do it like you want to do it. You're a perfectionist and obsessive compulsive about things. And then whoever takes your place might not quite be that obsessive compulsive. And you've got to grapple with that. But the more that you delegate and the more you give it away, the more you can grow as a business. You can't do everything.
And I think sometimes too, we forget that people don't have to do it like us. And sometimes they will do it better than we have done it.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely. When I got back from Brazil, the company was in a better financial position than when I left. So that was a good lesson to learn right there, that people are capable and they have their ideas that might not be your ideas, that might be better.
Is there anything that has surprised you about being known?
People are crazy. We know that. You get some weirdos every now and then. So that was, I knew that, but I didn't expect it would happen to me. That old story. Mm-hmm. I've heard of it happening to other people. I just never thought it would happen to me. Those people are out there. So that was a little unexpected in reality. Other than that, it's been pretty good. I get to do things like this. I get to do motivational speeches. And I didn't see that coming. But that's really a nice add-on to everything that I'm doing. That's been a very pleasant surprise.
Is there anything that you weren't ready for that you wish you had been?
I wasn't ready for how me going on the adventures would affect my personal life. I think that was a big one. I had to really learn how to come home from a challenge and be re-immersed in with my family. The first time I did not do a good job of that. I was really self-absorbed when I got back from my challenge. And like I said, about not caring about my kids' homework. I was a bad father. I did not care about math problems. I couldn't make myself. And then after a month of self-reflection, realizing you've been kind of a dirtbag, then you pledge not to be that bad again. And on the next challenge, you're still a little bad, but not as bad as the first time. And so you progressively, try to figure it out. And by the third one, we were in full swing of COVID. I had no choice but to adjust when I got back. There were too many critical issues, that we all faced, whether they're getting groceries or toilet paper or your business needs a PPP loan. I had no choice. And I think I was back to being regular Wes in 24 hours after I got back home.
In those circumstances, other than COVID, do you have any kind of a support system or anything that will kind of cut you off at the knees and keep you in check, or not really?
Absolutely. And she's my dear, sweet wife. Molly doesn't put up with a bunch of junk. Thank goodness. That's to her credit. She keeps me in check, keeps me grounded. If I start playing the assassin role a little too much, she'll jerk a hole in me. She'll say, "Okay, buddy, let's relax on that." So yeah, she's a really good sounding board. She's very supportive, but when I go a little too far, she reels me right back in, to her credit.
How important do you think that is for people to have somebody that does that for them as they try and take the next leap for whatever?
I think it's great. I think if you are a single person and you have no responsibilities, you're renting an apartment and you're going for it, you don't have a wife, you don't have kids, then by all means, no holds barred. Go for it all day, every day, do what you can. But when you have real life, that you've left to go do an adventure and come back, and you have to get back to real life. You have to pay your mortgage. You have to put your kids through college. These are non-negotiable things. And so to have somebody just kind of jerk you back to reality is absolutely necessary in that environment.
So what would be your advice to anybody who is going to be doing anything that pushes them either farther into the public eye or onto a bigger stage? What would you tell them?
I would say that no one is really going to push you, and no one is really going to promote you. You have to really promote yourself. For me, I'm always still a little embarrassed about promoting myself. It's a hard transition. But maybe that's because I'm, 51 years old. Maybe if I was 26 again, I wouldn't have any problem at all with it. But I would say self-promote. Just self-promote. Don't worry about it. Just go for it, really. If you don't self-promote, no one else is going to do it for you. And I guess that would be my best advice. With just go for it. Put yourself out there. And if it doesn't work, that's all right, because you did everything you could to get yourself out.
With that, Wes, I just have 4 final questions for you.
Okay.
First one, what's the best piece of advice you were ever given?
I think it was from my father. And it was when I was young and he was working for the Pentagon and commuting an hour and a half each way to work. And he sat me down one day and said, "Don't do this. Don't be like me." And what he meant at the time was don't commute an hour and a half each way. But I think there was something bigger I took away from it. And that was don't get stuck in just day-to-day routines. Have your adventures. If there's a goal you want to reach that's not typical, go ahead and go for it anyway. It was really kind of live your best life and don't get trapped in the corporate hustle. And so I think that was the best advice I ever got. And even though I'm a corporate dude, obviously I live outside the box when I'm not that. And so that was great advice.
Share with us one thing on your bucket list.
Oh, Marlana, my bucket list is so big. It's like an empty trash can with all the things I want to do still.
Give us one.
I want to, I'm writing a novel. I'm currently in the process of writing a novel. My bucket list is to finish the damn thing. That's the biggest part. I'm interested in building my own house, me building it myself. I want to be fluent in Spanish. And there's just a list. And of course, I really want to go back on Naked and Afraid. I don't feel like I've accomplished that. I've done it, but I haven't accomplished it. I haven't finished my run with Naked and Afraid.
So when the toy companies finally get around to making an action figure of you, what 2 accessories will it come with?
Well, I think if it's my Naked and Afraid action figure, then it's going to have to come with a machete and, of course, a bow and arrow, because I am the assassin. But I've got something for you, just in case you haven't seen this before. Now, that comes with a long story that I'm not going to tell. It involves Las Vegas. But I've already got a little mini-me action figure that I keep to myself.
So funny. And last one, Wes, how do people find you?
Oh, that's easy. You can go to my business website. You can go to LinkedIn. I mean, all you have to do is type my name into Google. And these days, there are pages of information on me. I'm very easy to find. I would say I can give you every Facebook, Instagram address at all that you want. But just type Wes Harper into Google, and it will provide all that for you. Some good, some bad, but it's all there. I can't get it out of there anymore.
Love it. Thank you so much, Wes, and thanks for being here.
Oh, Marlana, thank you. Always great to see you.
Thank you for joining us. Once again, I'm Marlana Semenza, photographer and visual strategist. Please comment, like, or share this episode, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. For more information on how I can help you create your iconic image, visit marlanasemenza.com.